I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. What a game. The Detroit Pistons end their week with the Orlando Magic. It's a little fun fact that I saw on the timeline. Shout out to Amari Sankofa for tweeting it because I didn't know it was this long. Last time the Detroit Pistons won in Orlando is, get this, 2022. The game where Sadiq Bey dropped 51 points. So that was over 4 years ago. We're in 2026. That was all the way back in 2022. So it's been a minute since the last time the Pistons have had a win down in Orlando. But I did want to kind of start that off with the podcast. We're going to get into our quarter notes like we do on these post-game podcasts. We'll also be looking at the box score, the team stats, and then we'll outlook the Pistons schedule. This schedule coming up in March is going to be very difficult, but I do think the Pistons can have a pretty solid month. So let's get into these quarter notes. So to start this first quarter, we all know Orlando is a very lengthy, handsy, physical team, and they were forcing a lot of turnovers very early on in the first quarter. And I like Paolo Banchero as a player. I really do. Just his physicality and the way he can get to the free throw line. I didn't know he got to the free throw line as much until Johnny Kane and Greg Kelser said, "Yeah, Paolo Banchero shooting his 13th and 14th free throws." I was like, "What?" And that was in the second half. He had 8 free throw attempts in the first quarter alone, and he only averages 7.8 per game. So he got to the free throw line quite a bit. I also think that the Pistons did foul him quite a bit. They did a better job of limiting, just fouling him and doing a better job defensively of guarding him overall. Really like the job by Azar Thompson and Tobias Harris and others when they were matched up with Paolo tonight. But 8 free throw attempts in the first quarter is crazy. 14 free throw attempts in the first half, wild. But the Pistons held the Magic scoreless for 3 minutes, and they tied the game at that point. It was 17-17. They call a timeout. And then the rest of the first quarter, the Pistons kept it within reach, but Orlando was fortunate to be able to have a 3-point lead after 12 minutes of play. So it was 26-23 Orlando. Getting into the second quarter, Mo Wagner made an impact very early on. If you guys remember Mo Wagner, Killian gave him that 1-2 piece a couple of years ago. And then he admitted on a podcast that he actually fell on purpose. Shout out to Killian Hayes. Doing a Killian Hayes mention in 2026. I think he's on the Kings now. They gave him a 10-day because the Kings are trying to secure that first overall pick. Hopefully they get it because it's a disaster over there in Sacramento. But kind of rambling. Mo Wagner was doing his thing. He's come back. I think he had an ACL injury, if I remember correctly. But he's making an impact really early on. The Pistons had a very difficult time of kind of identifying where he was at. But they did a better job as the quarter did go on. Ron Holland, every game, man, every game I'm writing in these post-game notes, Ron Holland brought energy. Ron Holland's bringing energy off the bench. But something about Ron Holland that I've noticed over the past multiple weeks, 2-3 weeks, is he is just getting so much more confident at, okay, I'm going to drive downhill. Okay, I'm going to just run transition. I'm going to score. I really felt like early on this season, he was struggling to score the basketball at times. There was a little lull there very early on, but it seems like game after game, he's just putting together great scoring games. I think his rebounding this year has been very underrated. I don't know if a lot of other Detroit Pistons podcasters have talked about just his improvement as a rebounder. But I was really impressed with Ron Holland. I really felt, especially in the second quarter, he was really the only second unit player that was really scoring and making an impact. It did suck to see Azar Thompson get 3 fouls, but I think he did a much better job in the second half staying out of foul trouble. So when we kind of look at his minutes tonight, it was because he was in foul trouble, not because JB didn't want to play him. Because I feel like a lot of times we get into these discourse with Azar Thompson that, why did Azar only play 20 minutes? It's just a wild thing. I see it on my timeline all the time. It's just kind of like minutes in rotation, please. But I'm not going to get into that. But just know Azar did have a little bit of foul trouble in the second quarter. So that's why he sat and why he didn't. play as many minutes. This is something where, like I said, I'm watching the game and I was like, man, the Pistons really haven't made a three. Broadcast said 0 for 15. Did not make a three-pointer until very late in the second quarter. And they were 1 for 16. I think overall they shot 4 for 30 from three and still won this game, which is wild, man. Like Pistons is the win on the margins. They were able to go on a 10-2 run, get within one. Magic hit back-to-back threes and then extend their lead late in the second quarter. There were some late fouls under a minute with Ron, and Orlando was able to have a 7-point lead going into halftime. So it was 57-50. I know when Tobias Harris was talking with Natalie Curlin post game, kind of talking about, the first half. He's like, I felt like we were very fortunate to only be down 7. And I tend to agree with Tobias. The way that the game was trending in the first 24 minutes of play, it looked like it was going to be Orlando's game for the taking. Taking. I was thinking about the Kings. I'm thinking tanking. Excuse me. It's really late. Apologize if I'm just kind of all over the place tonight, you guys. But only being down 7, I thought was manageable for this team. And coming out of the third, man, like it just got to a point where it's like this team, they don't panic. They're like, okay, we're down 7, you guys. Let's get back into this game. Let's lock in. What do? They open up going into the third quarter on a 7-0 run. They're able to tie the game at 59. Tobias hits a three, one of very few threes that was actually made tonight, and it was 67-65. First lead of the game. Pistons didn't get their first lead until the third quarter at 67-65. And they did a much better job of just shooting from distance. Even though they only shot 4 from 30, a majority of their threes came in the third quarter. And the Pistons go on a 12-2 run, just being disruptive. Asar Thompson was just freaking everywhere. Just with steals, passing lanes, rebounding, switching defensively. Like, I just love that kid. But Magic couldn't score for over 4 minutes. And then the Pistons end the third quarter with the lead, 81-75. And they outscored the Magic in that third quarter, 31-18. So much better job by the Pistons in the third quarter of locking in, knowing that, hey, if we want to win this game, you guys, we're going to have to lock in and defensively switch, communicate, rotate. And that's everything they did in the third quarter. Much better job out of them. Obviously, JB, I'm sure he said, you guys, if we want to win this game, it's got to be in the defensive end of the floor. We got to lock in. And that's exactly what the Pistons did in the third quarter. Going into the fourth, Magic did tie the game at 83. Desmond Bane hit a three. They kind of go on a little run. Pistons had a little lull there. But I thought the tipping point of the fourth quarter was Jalen Duren. He had 2 back-to-back buckets that I thought were really crucial very early on in that fourth, very early on. And then you had Ron Holland made such an impressive play in transition where I kind of felt like he was fouled. Like they kind of like pushed him like mid-air and he didn't get a foul. Ron was kind of chirping at the refs all game. I'm surprised he did not get a technical foul, but I really felt like Ron just had a very solid game. Tobias Harris was just making buckets. And for some reason, every time he sees Paolo Banchero, feels like he turns into like Carmelo Anthony. Like this is some of the turnarounds he was making tonight. He had over 23 points for the Pistons, and you kind of track back his last 3 games. Tobias has only scored 19 points in 3 combined games. Tonight he had 23. He was a big part of why the Pistons won, along with Cade Cunningham as well. Cade was phenomenal. Cade's just excellent. It seems like each and every game, the way he's distributing, playing defense, and just scoring. But the Pistons were able to just, blow this lead open, and they win this one, holding Orlando to under 100 points. Final score, you guys, 106-92. Hell of a game by the Detroit Pistons. You end the week 3-1. Obviously, the San Antonio game, I'd like to have back because I really feel like if we didn't have that lull where we didn't score, the game would have been a little bit closer. And I also felt like the fouling in that San Antonio game was really bad. But 3-1, those were 3 quality teams that you played. I know they had a shorthanded Cleveland Cavaliers team, but the Cavs are still a playoff team. Spurs are really good. You beat OKC, even though OKC was injury riddled with SGA, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, but OKC's a champion, and you were able to have a very impressive week going 3-1. And I think that should not go undersold whatsoever. Before we kind of get into the box score, we'll do the box score first, and then we'll kind of look into just the schedule for next week. I'm actually going to pull it up on my phone as I'm talking to you guys right now because I don't remember the schedule off the top of my hand. Oh, here we go. Shout out to the ESPN app for save my butt. So this is terrible podcasting. I apologize, but let's kind of get into the box score, and then we'll look at the schedule for the week to see the opponents the Pistons will be playing. So box score time. Here we go. So Tobias Harris, 33 minutes tonight, 23 points, 10 out of 18 from the field, 1 for 4 from three, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block. He was a +6 in the plus minus. Really crucial, getting 23 points out of him. Duncan Robinson, this is the first time this season where I really haven't seen Duncan Robinson not score a point. 25 minutes, 0 for 4 from the field, and there were 4 3-point attempts. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He still finished with a +9 in this one, even though he didn't score a point. So take that with the greatest salt, I guess, because plus minus is a very weird stat. If your team plays well, then the whole team plays well, right? Or if the team plays well, then let's just say the starting unit plays well, then your plus minus is usually not really affected that way. I apologize, guys. This is probably such a bad podcast. It's been a long week. Jalen Duren, 34 minutes, had 16 points, 10 rebounds, 6 out of 12 from the field, had 1 assist, 1 turnover, 2 steals, 1 block. It was a +16. Was really rooting for Jalen Duren to have 25 points and 10 plus rebounds. Would have tied a record with Bob McAdoo and Bob Lanier. He had 4 straight games of that, but still had a double-double. 16 and 10 is nothing to undersell whatsoever. But I would have loved to see him have that kind of like tie with the franchise record with some of the all-time great bigs that the Pistons have had in their history. Cade Cunningham, 37 minutes in this one, 29 points, 11 out of 25 from the field, 2 out of 9 from three, 5 out of 6 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 11 assists, 5 turnovers, 2 steals. So +14 in this one. Got to get the turnovers down a little bit, but you're happy with the result with Cade Cunningham. Sar Thompson in 21 minutes had 9 points. He was 4 out of 5 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 11 big rebounds from Asar, had 3 assists and 2 steals. He was a +10. Paul Reed in 14 minutes had 5 points, where he made 1 field goal, got to the free throw line 4 times, made 3 out of 4, had 6 rebounds, 1 turnover, and 1 block. He was a -2 in this one. Ron Holland in 26 minutes had 11 points, 4 out of 9 from the field, 0 for 4 from three, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, +8. I want to say one thing about Ron Holland. If this kid ever develops a 3-point shot, he's probably close to like a 15 to 18 point per game score. Like going into next season. Like he takes so many threes, and I love the confidence with him. But like if he just develops that jump shot, because it doesn't look bad. I think sometimes it's landing most of the time when I'm looking, just the way he's landing and his shoulders aren't squared up. But like if he develops a 3-point shot, like look out, that's going to be a scary player to deal with all the other things that he just does at a high level. Javonte Green had 3 points in this one, 1 out of 3 from the field. And it was a 3-pointer that he made. He had 8 big rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover. He was a +3. Karis LeVert in 20 minutes had 8 points, 4 out of 10 from the field, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals. He was a +4. And Danish Jenkins had 11 points, 2 points, or 11 minutes, excuse me, 2 points, shot 1 out of 6 from the field, 1 turnover, and 3 steals. He was a +2. He has struggled quite a bit. I'll just say, I don't know if it's just like the competition that we're playing has increased. A lot of these teams are playoff teams, but he's the type of player where like he could go 1 for 10 and hit like a really big time clutch shot. Like we saw it with the Cavs game where I think he up to that point was 2 for 10 from the field, but was able to kind of ice the game and sending in the overtime, tying it at 114, and he was able to have a pretty big bucket into overtime. So I think a lot of people are kind of reading into Danis, obviously. Happy for him and his camp that he did get a contract, but I do think he will kind of get out of the shooting slump that he's in. I know some of you guys have messaged me like, ever since he got his contract, man, he's not the same. Um, I think this is a lull right now. I'm not going to read too much into it because I still think he's a really good backup for this team. Let's kind of get into the team stats. So Pistons shot 45% from the field. Orlando only shot 38% from the field. Pistons shot 13% from three. Like I mentioned, 4 to 30 from three is just crazy. Orlando didn't shoot much better. They were 10 out of 36 and they shot 28% from three. Orlando's not a good 3-point shooting team, but we made them look like the prime Golden State Warriors tonight. Free throws, Pistons shot 75%, Orlando shot 80%. We were 18 out of 24. Orlando was 24 out of 30. Rebounding, Pistons won that battle by a wide margin, 56 to 41. 14 offensive rebounds, 42 defensive rebounds for the Pistons. Orlando only had 9 offensive rebounds and 32 defensive rebounds. Pistons out assisted Orlando 24 to 20. And in steals, 14 to 18. Pistons won that category as well. Also in blocks, 6 to 4. Pistons had less turnovers, so they had 14 turnovers collectively as a team. Orlando had 19. And the points conceded off turnovers, Pistons had 14. Orlando had 26. Fast break points, Pistons won that category as well, 19 to 12. Points in the paint, where they're just the kings of living in the paint and just dominating the paint, 66 to 32. Love to see that. And the largest lead for the Pistons was 14, and Orlando's largest lead was 9. But it was a hell of a game, hell of a win by the Pistons. I wasn't too sure because I feel like every time we play Orlando, especially since they have Desmond Bane, because he's kind of been a Pistons killer throughout his career, I wasn't too sure like what to expect going into this game. But I was very pleased with the way they played in the second half and locked in and really made it difficult for Orlando to get into the paint. If they wanted to drive, it seemed like Asar was there, Ron was there, Cade was there, just disrupting and making plays and just being dogs defensively. I did mention that we are going to kind of look at the games coming up. So I do have the games pull up on my phone on the ESPN app. So we get to see Cleveland again, you guys. Don't know if James Harden's going to play. Don't know if Donovan Mitchell's going to play. Didn't see those guys last time. I also felt like Dean Wade might have been out. Max Strus, I don't even know if the guys played this year. I know he had a Jones fracture, but I haven't watched too many Cleveland Cavaliers games. I know they've kind of been banged up, but we play Cleveland in Cleveland. That's at 2. That's on Tuesday at 7 on the 3rd. They don't play on my birthday. That's the first time the Pistons actually don't play on my birthday, which is the 4th. So kind of disappointed because I do like watching Pistons basketball on my birthday. We get to see the Spurs again. So that's a game I think a lot of us are going to be locking in. That's going to be in San Antonio. The Knicks actually broke their winning streak because the Spurs were on a heater. But we'll be seeing the San Antonio Spurs on Thursday at 8 p.m. The one home game that we do have is against the Brooklyn Nets. That's on Saturday, which I actually have something pretty big planned on Saturday. I don't want to spoil it, but we're going to be doing something on the podcast that I think you guys will enjoy. So be on the lookout for that on Saturday. That'll be our post-game show against the Brooklyn Nets. But we play Brooklyn on the 7th, and then we have a back-to-back with the 7th and the 8th. So we come home, and then, hey, go to Miami, go play the Miami Heat. Last time the Pistons played the Miami Heat, Miami kind of played spoiler. If you guys remember, Norman Powell went absolutely crazy. Pistons did not have an answer for him and Khalil Ware, but they end the week playing the Miami Heat on Sunday, the 8th at 6 p.m. So that will be interesting. So you got Cleveland, San Antonio, Brooklyn, and the Heat. 3 out of 4 of those matchups are all playoff teams. The Nets, I don't know if the Pistons are going to beat them like they did last time. That was just a complete beatdown. I think it was like the largest victory in Detroit Pistons history. I think it was like over like 50 some odd points, if I remember correctly. I don't know if you guys remember that game. That was just a complete beatdown. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how the Pistons do. I'm going to predict they go 4-0. I'm just going to be positive. I'm going to be positive. I think they'll beat Cleveland. I think they can beat San Antonio. Just kind of have to limit the fouls And don't fall for the flopping with Wemby. Had one today against Cat where I was just like, come on, man, you're like 7-4. What are you doing flopping like that? But what a week. Pistons finished the week 3-1, 45 wins, 44 last year, you guys. So they're 45-14, still number one in the East. Love to see it. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Um, and I appreciate all you guys being really patient because I know obviously when we do these post game podcasts, they're more live streams. I've had to upload them just as regular videos. Um, Mom is still not 100%. So I'm not going to be doing live streams until I know for a fact that I can actually be in this room and record for 30 minutes and nothing's going to happen to her. Still taking care of her, still looking after her, but appreciate all the kind messages and the prayers that you guys have sent over the past couple of weeks. But we will see you guys on Tuesday when the Detroit Pistons play the Cleveland Cavaliers. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.